Hello, everyone. Today on the show, I'm excited to welcome Samantha Di Lena, a communication specialist who blends deep technical experience with people first coaching. With a background spanning database administration, business analytics, and application consulting, Sam brings an uncommon balance of analytical thinking and human insight. Her work centers on helping professionals strengthen not just their technical ability, but their communication clarity as well. So, the skills that truly shape long term success in the workplace. Whether you're just starting out your first job or growing into a leadership role, this episode will help you understand how to communicate confidently in different scenarios in the office, in meetings, at work, lunches, or even at networking events. So let's jump in. Welcome, Sam. Thank you so much for coming here today and talking to my audience. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to learn myself as well a lot from you today. And but we will be keeping our conversation for those who are young professionals or emerging, and let's say it's their first year kind of in, and it's their first job. So they I'm pretty sure they are facing challenges like I did in my first year, especially in terms of communication, building relationship with new people, getting settled in new environment, and especially transitioning from a student mindset to a professional mindset. So I believe communication play a big role. So that's why I want you guide them today, so that at least they know, they get some confidence and they know what they're talking.
That
Cool.
sounds great. I think you've hit the nail on the head with a few things there. That there is a shift in identity from being a student to moving out into the workforce, and I'm so glad to be here to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. So, the very first thing I wanted to talk about the confidence, because I know communication plays a big role in confidence, in the way you talk, the way you communicate. And if you know that your communication is good, you'll be confident automatically. So, how to sound confident before you actually feel confident?
Yeah, look, this is a big one. It's like the chicken and the egg scenario. What comes first? Look, the way that I see this is that confidence is a feeling. It's this feeling of trusting yourself and belief in your own abilities. And when we're first out into the workforce, this that feeling may not be there. And what I say is that confidence isn't about being it's not about being loud. It's not about having the right words. It's that inner knowledge that whatever happens, you're going to be okay and to be able to do the things that you're coming up to. So the question really is, how do you sound secure and confident and certain in yourself? And a lot of that is around command tonality. And I'll explain what that means. Especially in Australia, we have a way of speaking where our comments sound like a question. So at the end of what I say, the inflection goes up, like I'm asking a question. Now, the thing is that's overused. So even when I might be giving my views or my comments, if I add an inflection at the end, it sounds like I'm questioning myself. So to sound really certain and secure, make sure that you're using command tonality. And I'll give you an example. Would that help if I give an
Yep.
example?
Yeah,
Amazing.
definitely.
Okay. So, and I've heard this over and over, and this is one thing that I help people with, even when being asked your name. So if someone was to ask me to introduce myself, I would say, my name is Sam Di Lena. Now, I've heard people respond with a question at the end. They go, what's your name? Oh, my name is Sam Di Lena. And it
So
goes up
true.
at the end. And it's like, you know your name. It's okay. There's no question about what your name is. So That is a big one. And the way to do that is just to practice it.
Yeah.
I stood in front of a mirror and I practiced and go, does this sound like a question? Does this sound like command? And when you bring that more into your responses, that helps you sound secure and certain, and that brings confidence.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. So you talked about practice. So I also wanted to know that how can one do practice when we want to improve our communication? Is it just about talking to other people, or is there something that we can do on our own?
Mm. Yeah, it's a bit of both. So, firstly, what can we do on our own? We can practice in front of the mirror, and that's actually a big step for a lot of people, and maybe feels a little bit too much, and that's okay. So the other option is to record yourself on your phone, and this can be with video or without video, and listen to yourself back, because there's things that we're doing, saying, if we record with video, our face can do funny things we don't realize. And when we watch this back, we can go, okay, now I know that I'm doing that, I can do something else. So that's a big one that I invite everyone to try. Being in front of the mirror can be a little bit confronting because you're there doing it, and it's that you're seeing yourself in the moment. So that can come after, if you like, but it's still very valuable, and I would still say give that a
Mhm.
try. In terms of practicing with other people, find the people that you feel comfortable with. Okay, don't try it with someone who, maybe your boss or a client. Find a friend, a family member, or a colleague that you feel comfortable with, and ask them for feedback. Say, how did you feel when I said that? Did this make sense? Did this, you know, yeah, did it make sense? That is one of the best ways to do it with someone else.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you because I often tell students to practice their elevator pitch. Like when you meet someone and you just talk about yourself, your what you're doing and everything. So normally people struggle with it because they haven't practiced this before. But yeah, you are right. They should choose someone comfortable to practice it before they actually go and talk to their manager or supervisor. Yeah, that's a
Yes,
good one.
exactly. Yeah.
Perfect. And now, another thing, because on day one, when you join, you this is the first time you are going to a professional meeting. So I have seen that sometimes I have seen new joiners as well, like grads joining the team. They are more nervous in meeting environment than in normal, during the day sitting with other colleagues and everyone. But in meeting, how to present yourself, how to communicate in a way that it doesn't look uh, too much or too less.
Okay. So the best advice that I was given, which I use, is to assume rapport. Now, what does that mean, right? Assume rapport. Well, that means that you walk into a room or in that meeting, that space, and come in with the energy and act like you know those people. So be friendly, come in, smile, wave or shake hands, well, however you greet them. If you walk in thinking these are these are strangers, I don't know what to say, I'm feeling very intimidated, that is what will come across in your voice and in your expression. So I go into the room assuming that I'm going to get along with everyone, that everyone's there for the same reason, and we're going to do some great work. That in itself makes a very big difference. And part of that as well, I would say to add, is around an intention. So, what do you want to get out of that meeting, or what do you want to give? Okay, now if it's day one, you might not know what you want to get, and that's okay. But what do you want to give? I want to give the impression and the energy that I want to be here, that I have good things that I can do, and then we're going to have a great working experience.
Yep, yep. Yeah, that I think setting intention before you go into the meeting room is really important. And do you think like intention is something that you have to keep on setting for every communication? Like I believe sometimes when we don't know what we are going to talk and we are in a situation where unexpected situation, let's say. So intention, I guess, plays a big role there. If it's not there, the confidence goes down and your communication just jumbles up and all that. So anything which can help, I think that first thing that we should think about once in an unexpected situation.
Mm, that's a great question. And there are times when conversations and interactions will come up unexpectedly. And it's okay in those moments to pause that and say, okay, I just want to make sure that we're here, that we're talking about the same thing, that we're on the same page, and be get clear on it at the start of the conversation. And time, sometimes intention can just be, I want to understand. It doesn't need to be more than that. So I want to be curious, I want to be open. That's a lot of the intention that I bring is we're having a conversation. I want to understand, what is this person sharing with me? What do they need? Um, so and that can happen in unexpected interactions.
Yeah. Awesome. I got 2 points from here. One is which I always forget, that is to pause. Yeah,
Yes.
I think pause can. Yeah, and the second
Yeah.
is you can be open and curious to know what is this about, and then come up with what you want to say rather than quickly jumping into your response. And yeah, so that's
Yeah.
really great.
Yeah. And look, I'll just highlight again on the pause.
Hmm.
It sounds like this very simple thing, but it's such a big impact. And I talk with my clients that for ourselves, pausing can feel like eternity. 5 seconds can feel so long, but for the other person, they don't even notice. They really don't notice. And when you pause, it also shows that you are thinking things through. You're wanting to give them a really valuable answer. So there's a lot of benefits aside from just trying to collect
Hmm.
collect your thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. That's gonna help a lot. Awesome. Now, another thing, moving on to the situation, which often, again, a new situation to all the emerging professionals who have just joined a new job, that they need to talk to people at different levels. They might need to talk to, obviously, colleagues who are at same level, or new joiners themselves, then supervisors, then managers, then maybe way above that. So, what's the difference in the communication level for this situation? Do we need to be same at every level while we're communicating, or is there a difference?
I do believe there is a difference, and it's based on what people at those levels find important. Okay, so the higher up you go, the uh, the level of abstraction it changes. So let's say someone in an executive position or C-suite, they don't often want to know the details. They're a big picture. They want to know, give me a one liner around what's going on, And
Mhm.
that's often all they want. They don't want the details. If you're speaking with a colleague or maybe someone in a team, a different team about a project, they most likely do want the details. So
Yeah.
that level of abstraction is lower. I talk about this, it's the hierarchy of language. All right, so the
Mm.
lower the abstraction, the more details and specific, the higher the abstraction is big picture. Give me an overall view, give me, just like a status. Are we on track, not on track? And depending who you're speaking to, that will change. So it is a skill to be able to adapt to those different levels of abstraction. Um, is it okay if I share a story from when
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
we need stories here.
okay? So from when I was starting out, coming from being in a technical role, coming from technical study, and I was very detailed, very very detailed. If I want to know it, everyone must want to know all the details, the ins and outs of how it works, right? And I addressed every single person the same way. I would be having a conversation with senior management, telling them all the details of why this worked, why it didn't work, the challenges we're having. They didn't care. They didn't care. They just wanted to know that it was going to get done. And so
Mm.
that took me probably too long to realize and start adjusting and just giving them a short explanation. If they want more information, they will ask. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, yes. So that means that the higher the level, more overview is required than details. Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Cool. Awesome. That clears up the point. And yes, you talked about hierarchy of language, and this is something that everyone must understand, especially if they're new joiners and in their first year of the professional job. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, that'll give them a big head start to being able to speak with those different levels of management.
Yeah. Awesome. And yeah, so another big challenge which I have seen in many grads, that they are. I talked about this with Ming as well in the last podcast about imposter syndrome, and she mentioned that this is something that's never going to go away. We just need to address it. So especially for young professionals, there is a kind of a fear that they don't know because obviously the processes are new, the whole environment is new. And they are transitioning from an environment where they're learning things and just implementing it in simulated environment. Now it's real environment. They're pretty scared that I might not know, or they are in a situation where they actually don't know how to do it. So how to confront that situation where they're unsure or struggling with the actual work or task given to them.
Hmm. My answer would be to be as open and transparent as you can. And it might sound scary to be someone who says, "Look, I actually don't know that," or "I don't have that information yet." But that is actually the best thing you can say and do in that situation. I've seen even more experienced people go along in a project where they actually didn't know what to do. They didn't say anything. They said it was all good. And what happens is you get so far down the line, and then inevitably it comes out because you're not actually able to do the work you've been asked. It's much better to be upfront about that, to
Yeah.
say, "Look, I'm not sure, I've not done that before, but I'm going to go away and find out." And maybe that means you need to speak with your manager separately, or talk to someone else, or ask a senior member of the team to guide you there a bit. But it's so much better than not saying anything and getting to the end and someone says, why haven't
I
you
did
done this? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. One more thing I wanted to know about, let's say the same situation. Is it good idea to talk face to face and tell your supervisor, let's say, or manager about it, or should be done through an email, or it should be a like official meeting or like casual meeting? How it should be?
Mm. It, I don't think there's a black and white answer for that. It depends on how your manager likes to work. I've worked with many different leaders over the years. Some preferred an email. Some preferred just to walk into their office and ask them. It does depend, and I guess that brings up a point that is also part of starting out in a new job, to understand what are the preferences for communication.
Yeah.
And I used to think it was about age, as in whether people
Mm,
preferred in-person, email, on the phone, but it's actually not. It's just an individual's preference.
preference.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah, that
think
was actually my next question. Like, how important is to understand the other person, the preference, how they want us to
yeah.
communicate.
Look,
Mm,
it is important. It is important, and that can feel a little bit out of our comfort zone sometimes. For a very long time, when I started, my preference was email, for a very clear reason, because I could write and then reread it and then write it again to make sure that I was being clear. And in the response, I could read it and reread it to understand. So I avoided phone calls for many years. And
mm,
that was my preference, but I was putting my preference onto everyone else. So
true.
there is a balance. It's understanding what your team and your manager and how they like to communicate, as well as what you're able to do.
Mm,
And so, yeah, there is a balance. I would definitely say, for really, really, really important things, especially if it's urgent, don't send an email. If it's urgent, just go and find them, or pick up the phone, or direct message, whatever tools you have there. Um, we
yeah,
rely too much on email, I think, and for urgent things, it doesn't work that well.
yeah, exactly. Because not everyone is on their email reading, sitting in the inbox and reading emails all the time. So obviously, it's good to go and talk to them straight away. And these days we have like Teams chats in all the organizations. So that's again a good way to reach out, I guess.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's a really good way, and most people have that on their phone. So even
Yeah,
if they're in and out, they'll be able to get that straight away.
exactly. Cool. Um, Now, another question. Yeah, let's talk about the introductions. So, what would you reckon for a young professional that they should have in their introduction? Do they need to start from their past experience, or they should just talk about their skills? How should they introduce themselves? Because obviously, when you're in a new company, you might have to introduce yourself again and again and again to different people from different departments, maybe. So, what it should be?
My view has always been, don't worry too much about previous experience, previous things you've done, especially if you're new, because you may not have too much, right,
Yeah,
to say. And to be honest, if someone's in a different department than you, they usually don't care. I know that sounds really harsh, but they usually don't. They just want to know how you're going to help them right now. So I would say, work on a one liner, a couple of lines. Maybe that's your title. It depends how clear your title is.
yeah,
So Perhaps if you're like an application specialist, that might not mean much to people in different parts of the business. So work out what is going to make the most sense, and you might have a couple of different introductions that you switch around. So
Hmm.
I know that there was a long period of time. My background is being database administrator in that data space, and I would just say, look, rather than say my title, because a lot of people didn't know what that meant,
Yeah.
I would say, look, I just take data and I make it look pretty. And I said that for a very long time, and then I switched it up and go, oh, I help with financial reporting, and that was
Hmm.
enough. So it depends. It depends, one, what you do, if your title's clear or not,
Hmm.
and also who you're speaking with. I think the step further than that can be around skills. You can also bring in a piece around skills in there and go, oh look, I'm really good at Excel, or I'm trying to think of a different example. It could be I will make sure I help people when they have problems with their desktop computers, with their laptops. You know,
Hmm.
um, something that, and it feels like it's dumbing it down, but the thing is that not everyone knows your entire job description. So,
True.
you know, being able to say it in plain words is actually
Yeah.
more helpful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So again, it joins our from a previous point that they need to know about the other person, what they actually need to know. So just give that much introduction, which they can understand, they can grasp. Yeah. So yeah, that's cool. And this was like formal introduction to everyone. But sometimes, let's say we are sitting with colleagues at lunch, and that point of how much casual we can be, because I have seen people, they start talking about their personal stuff. So how, where's the boundary in that case? How much a new
Mm.
joiner or young professional should talk about their personal life, and how much they should not, what they should not. So something around that informal communication.
Yeah, that's a really great point, and it's something that doesn't come up much. So I love that you've asked this question. I would say, while you're still getting to know everyone and how comfortable they are, keep it to a minimum. You
Mm.
can share what your hobbies are. What did you do on the weekend? Oh, I did some gardening, or I play in a band, or whatever it might be. Share that, and obviously, if you've got children, oh yes, I've got two kids, or whatever that might be. Anything more than that can feel like it's almost pushing too much onto the other person.
Mm.
And you don't know them yet. They're strangers, really, when you start. So, would you stop a stranger in the street and start telling them all these things? Like, you need to build that level of trust, and that relationship needs to be built before you start sharing, really personal things. So I would definitely say keep it to a minimum to start with. People ask, you know, they want to get to know you, absolutely, but we need to do it in over time, small pieces. We can't force it. It's almost like forcing it. That's the best way to describe it. We can't force it on day one. You're not going to be best friends with everyone there in the
True.
office.
Yeah. I guess
And
keeping it to the hobbies is safest option.
yes, yeah, exactly. And look, for some people as well, even a benign question that sounds like, oh, I would get asked, do you have a partner? Are you married? For a
Yeah,
lot of
that's
people, that feels like a very personal question.
true. Yep.
Yeah. So keeping it very, you know, hobbies, any maybe activities that you've done on the weekend, that type of thing. Did you go on holiday? You know,
Hmm.
at Christmas time, that type of thing is very safe.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, good to know that. And yeah, so let's say because we moved from an office environment to lunch, and now let's move on to the networking events, which
Yeah.
is something not very professional. Like you have to be very professional. You can always do casual talks there. And starting your conversation, people often start with what you do, what I do, and then carried to weather or maybe
Yes.
things like that. So, if you can give some tips to young professionals around communication at networking events or let's say outside office, talking to professionals.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. There's a piece there at networking events where people want to know why you're there. Um, so the what do you do question puts it in context for them. So we might
Yeah.
be at a women in technology networking event. What do you do? Or I'm an artist. That doesn't make sense for the context. So those questions, what do you do, will come up, and that helps them like place you in their mind of why you're
Mhm.
there. I would say try, if possible, to avoid the questions, oh, how are you? Oh, it's how long did it take you to get here? The weather, try and stay away from those. Some
Yeah.
alternatives, and they're really simple, can just be, oh, have you been working on anything interesting this week
Hmm.
or last week or this month? You know, what's something that's taken a lot of your time? Those are questions that a little bit outside of the box, so people have to stop and think. And there's two benefits to that. One, you have a much more enjoyable conversation, and two, they will remember you because you asked them a question where they actually had to think about it. um, Trying to keep it positive helps. So anything, what have you been working on that's been interesting? Any exciting new things have come up for you lately? It could be, oh, are you looking forward to anything in the next whatever week, month,
Yeah.
whatever that might be? Um,
Hmm.
don't ask them, oh, what are your biggest challenges from last month? You don't want to go down into a into that level. What are
Yeah.
people, what people are having
Hmm.
fun with?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a great point that you start with like why they are there. So I think again it's uh, taking us back to our previous point, setting intention. So if you have that intention of making a connection, it should be relevant about around the event you are in.
Yeah.
So why you are here and how this is actually connecting with you. So yeah, that's these are some of the good points. And yes, creating your own value so that they remember you even after the
Yes.
event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, that's it. And back to intention, which you just mentioned, there is at any networking situation, you got to balance the what you're there for and what you're able to do or give or share with the people around you. Oftentimes we go to networking events thinking, I want to find a contact or I want to find someone who's going to be able to give me a kickstart in my career.
Mm.
But what are you able to give them? Because there will be something you have value to share, and what we can do that by asking more questions of the other person rather than talking all about ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Now we did talk about conversation starters, but how about conversation enders? Like how to end, how to, because obviously at a networking, when you're talking to someone, now you want to hop to another person, talk to more people. So how to end a conversation?
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's great. That's a great question. It took me a really long time to learn this, and I would get stuck talking to this one person for
Yeah.
so long. It really helps. So this is a good way to start it. It really helps if you have a drink of something. It could be water, anything. If you're holding
Hmm.
something, maybe there's some food around, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
because you can always use that. Oh, I just need to refill. I just need to grab another drink. I just need to, you know, um, I'm just going to grab something else to eat. They can be
Yeah.
really, really easy ways to
True.
end it. Otherwise, you
Mhm.
can just be again really upfront about it. Go, oh, it's been so great talking to you. I'm just going to circle the room and catch someone else. And that shows that you've actually enjoyed talking to them, and you're there. If they then see you talking to someone else, that's why. So
Yeah.
that also works really, really easy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think these two are pretty much that I use as well. Like sometimes it's easy to say it upfront that it was lovely meeting you today, talking to you today, and then you can obviously escape from that. But yeah, the other one, I like the other one because that helps sometimes, especially when it is like networking at lunchtime or the
Mm.
after event drinks and all that. So yeah, these two are great points. Awesome. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And okay, so before we end this podcast, I really want to know some of the tips from your end, which you think that young professionals they miss a lot. So something that you want to tell them through this.
Mm. I think something which is missed is around body language, and
Yeah.
this is, it sounds like it's not so important when we talk about communication, but body
Mm.
language makes up majority of how people receive our message. And there's two things that I would like to highlight here. The first one is around our hands. So when we meet someone, are you doing with your hands? Our hands are showing that we are friendly. When you show the open palm of your hand, it shows that we're friendly, we're safe, we're not a threat. So
Mm.
often, even in person or often on Zoom as well, I will start with a wave. Okay, this is me, I'm showing my hand, I'm friendly. When I'm in person, I decide, okay, what am I going to do when I meet that person? Am I going to shake their hand? This is me deciding straight up. Am I going to
Mhm.
shake their hand? Am I not going to shake their hand? Some people are huggers.
Yeah.
So we need to show what we want to do. So when I walk up to that person, my hand will be out. So that's telling them, I want to shake your hand. And they know then that's what's going to happen. If I walk up waving, they can see that that's all that's going to happen. And so that's a helpful message. So even in on Zoom calls, if there's any way that your hands can be seen at some point in the call, that's very helpful. Um, the other part, the second part, is around body language in general. So when we're feeling uncertain, when we're feeling like maybe we don't belong in that room, we can make ourselves very small. So if we're sitting, often we'll kind of, our shoulders will hunch up, or we'll lean over the table. If we're standing, often we'll cross our arms, or our legs will be crossed even when we're standing. That
Mm.
shows that's a very making ourselves smaller, we're protecting ourselves, and that comes across, that takes away from your confidence and the fact that you do belong there. So the alternative, I should say, there is make sure you're standing upright, shoulders back, hands not arms not crossed. Even if they just hang at your side, it's better than being crossed.
Lost.
And
Yeah.
legs the same, especially for women. Often when we're standing, we'll cross our legs. Try and keep them both feet planted firmly on the ground. You get
Hmm.
very solid, balanced posture, and that shows that, yeah, I'm here. I feel good being here. I'm meant to be here, and and that's a very simple thing to do, and something that has a lot of impact.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess that helps a lot, especially as women, because I did hear at some place that taking your space, because normally women they shrink, and
Yes.
it's about taking your space and uh, showing that yes, I am present there as well. So yeah, these two are good points, like showing your hands. And I was thinking, like, did I show my hands throughout the podcast?
And look, it's hard on video calls. So if
On
you see
video,
every now
yeah,
and then I'll pop my hand up and do something, but you know, it depends where the screen sits, right? But if we can make
yeah,
an effort, especially at the start and the end, put your
yeah,
hand up, wave, that is very
yeah.
beneficial.
True, true. Awesome. Great points. And yes, I'm pretty sure that all the young professionals have got lots of points from entire conversation. There are many things that they can implement straight away. And yes, and they need to practice a lot, because it's not like just doing it once and it's with you forever. It needs practice
Yes.
and setting intentions, body language, and learning what other person is expecting. So all these points, lots of points are there. I'm going to write them out while we're talking as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I'm so glad that these are things that are doable, right? This is what I like to share. It feels like so much. There's so many things to think about, but these are just small things that can be done. Pick one at a time. I guess that's actually one comment I'll add.
Yeah,
Pick one at a time. Don't try and do them all at once.
yeah, exactly. Good one. Awesome. Thank you so much, Sam. It was really insightful and value added to the lives of young professionals. Thank you so much for joining us today and talking about the conversation and communication, all those skills which are especially important for those who are in tech, because they deal with more technical conversation than the non-technical. So really helpful. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. And thank you so much for having me here. I think what you share and your message through this podcast is so beneficial for these young professionals. And thank you for having me.